From the studios of 7 Perth, Sally Bowrey.
Good evening. A Perth bus driver who lost an eye when he was attacked while working has been told by the bus company the attack was his fault. Swan Transit, which is fighting a compensation claim by the injured man, claims the driver provoked a passenger. Blake Johnson reports.
Gillard Sin helping at his wife's Beaconsfield cafe this morning, a long way from the job he treasures so much.
I lost one thing I love to do. One of the things is driving. I like driving.
Gillard lost an eye when an angry passenger threw a rock at his head in Armidale almost 3 years ago. Now he's suing bus company Swan Transit for negligence. But the company says Mr Sin was negligent for picking up the group on the side of the road, not at a bus stop. And when a row broke out over payment, Swan Transit says Mr Sin provoked the assailant, engaged in an altercation and failed to drive away.
I got scared. There was no cage. So, the next thing I remember, oh, I've got a back scratcher. I said, you come, just to keep him from coming. He didn't, he stopped.
Gillard Sin still works for Swan Transit as a bus attendant, not a bus driver because of his eye. He's on the same salary he was as a driver, but he misses out on overtime. Gillard says that costs him at least $17,000 a year.
Has Gillard Sin done anything wrong?
Not at all. He has not done a thing wrong. He's probably, only thing he's done wrong is trying to look after the passengers.
Swan Transit didn't return our calls today. Blake Johnson, 7 News.
A 29-year-old man has been treated for multiple stab wounds to his arm and stomach after a fight in Northbridge just before 5 this morning. The victim was arguing with a group of men on Rowe Street when he was attacked. He was taken to Royal Perth Hospital, but his injuries are not life-threatening. Police believe the offenders are men of Asian descent and that they may have left the area in a red ute. Labor leader Mark McGowan is promising a big cash giveaway if he wins government, promising he'll hand over $200 for every Year 11 and 12 student throughout the state, including those in private schools. He says the handout won't be means tested because he's sure parents will spend it wisely. Samantha reports.
The payment would go to all Year 11 and 12 students, public and private, no matter how much their parents earn.
I make no apologies. I'm not going to just benefit one segment of the community, ignore the other segment.
Sally Dennis is putting her son through private school, but says it's a struggle.
I can use it. I could desperately use it. It would be great.
This is Mark McGowan's plan if he wins the state election. A $200 annual payment for the parents of students enrolled full-time in Year 11 and 12 in any WA school, and a $400 yearly payment for the parents of 16 or 17-year-old apprentices or trainees. It will cost around $16 million a year.
I'm a single parent. I work part-time and that barely covers my mortgage. So it is really tough, so this money would definitely help.
The state government already has a similar payment, but it's only for low-income families, and the money goes straight to the school, not to parents.
Look, I trust families to do the right thing with these payments.
Samantha, 7 News.
Labor MPs are having a barbecue at the Lodge tonight after being warned by the Prime Minister to put an end to leadership speculation. Julia Gillard gathered her troops hoping to prepare a battle plan for the return of Parliament this week. But there was one notable absentee from the get-together, Kevin Rudd.
Julia Gillard arrived early for the meeting, declaring leadership off the agenda.
Looking forward to exactly what I promised, the planning session.
But she couldn't avoid the issue during an interview with 7 Sunday night.
So when it gets petty like Kevin Rudd saying you and Tim live in Bougainville, meaning you're bogans.
I am who I am. If you want someone with a crusty upper-class accent who went, to the most elite private school, well, that's not me.
Colleagues say it's not her accent, but how she uses her voice that's causing problems.
The issue is of the whole communications of government.
While most MPs are still behind her,
I do support Julia Gillard. God, get real.
Some have wavered.
Julia Gillard's our leader.
Do you support her?
Julia Gillard's our leader.
Sure, there's one or two individuals out there who are disgruntled.
Those ministers deny there's enough for Kevin Rudd to turn.
This whole leadership debate has been overcooked. The less we're talking about ourselves and the leadership, the more we're talking about what we're delivering as a government.
MPs were reminded of that during today's 3-hour meeting, receiving a list of benefits Labor will deliver this year to sell to the public. As expected, there was no mention of the elephant in the room, perhaps because he wasn't there. Kevin Rudd is on his way home from Germany. But the Prime Minister did warn her team continuing ill discipline will only help the opposition. Alex, 7 News.
And you can see Mike Wheelisey's full interview with the Prime Minister coming up on Sunday night at 6:30. The flood crisis continues in the east. Residents have been evacuated from the town of St George in Queensland after running out of time to build levees, while the cost of flooding in northern New South Wales is expected to run into the hundreds of millions of dollars. A mandatory evacuation ordered at St George in Queensland.
I'm going to help you stand up, sweetness.
The elderly and sick flown out before the town is swamped.
I'm in my bloody pyjamas and my wife arrived at home about an hour ago and said, oh, well, they're evacuating everybody out of town.
It's feared floodwaters there could reach 15 metres.
So we're facing a very serious situation here in St George. The readings on the gauges in the catchments are now more than a metre higher than anything that's ever been seen before.
A temporary levee bank may offer some protection. Further upstream, the crisis has eased as waters recede at Roma. Now the clean-up begins.
About 4 tonne of water in here, I reckon.
Rebuilding will be easy, renting in the meantime won't. 1/3 of Roma's motel rooms have been destroyed. In Charleville, the Warrego River still high but slowly going down. Last night the levee held the river back. In northern New South Wales, hundreds of hectares of cotton, millions of dollars worth, underwater. Qantas flew in fresh supplies for those cut off by floodwaters.
This looks like an inland sea.
Moree is cleaning up for a second time in as many months. Hollywood director James Cameron has paid tribute to an Australian filmmaker and his American colleague who were killed in a helicopter crash. The men were working on a new project for the Oscar winner when their chopper came down at Bowrey, 150 kilometres south of Sydney.
Andrew White was one of Australia's best adventure filmmakers. He was James Cameron's right-hand man. Together, they made many films, including the 3D thriller Sanctum.
Dad, the cave is flooding! You think?
It was based on Andrew's own near-death experience, cave diving beneath the Nullarbor Plain.
From sort of a cave diving expedition 23 years ago to a movie here. It's quite a trip, a little surreal actually.
Yesterday, Andrew was flying his own helicopter with American filmmaker Mike Degree when it crashed just after takeoff on this tiny airstrip at Jasper's Brush. It's believed the pair had been in Jervis Bay, working with James Cameron on his latest documentary. Today, James said, "Mike and Andrew were like family to me. They were my deep-sea brothers, and both were true explorers. Andrew was kind and loyal. It is cruelly ironic that he died flying a helicopter, which was second nature to him." Degree, he said, was one of the ocean's warriors. The 60-year-old had won BAFTAs and Emmys for his work for underwater cinematography. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau is investigating the cause of the crash as the film world mourns two of its finest. Pippa Gardner, 7 News.
A 16-year-old girl was killed when the car she was a passenger in hit a tree in Wagen last night. The 17-year-old P-plate driver lost control on a gravel road. She received minor injuries. 2 other passengers were also hurt. About 15,000 people are partying on the Victoria Park foreshore tonight for the 20th Big Day Out Festival. Blake Johnson's there, and Blake, police say there are a few problems with underage drinkers.
Sal, officers tell me they've captured a few drunk kids inside the McCallum Park venue and turfed them out, but aside from that, this small crowd here seems to be fairly well behaved. There have been 7 people busted for trying to bring drugs into the venue and 9 other arrests made. It's the first time the Big Day Out has been held at this McCallum Park venue, a very nice spot down on the river here. It's usually at the Claremont Showgrounds where they pull crowds of up to 40,000, so it's undergone some significant downsizing this year, and it'll be at McCallum Park next year. Unfortunately for Perth this year, headliner Kanye West is performing only in the east this year. The festival wraps up at about 11 o'clock tonight. Sal?
Thanks, Blake. 2 young Aussie adventurers are enjoying their first home-cooked meal in more than 3 months tonight, having just returned from an epic journey across the Antarctic. They survived more than their fair share of dangers and eventually walked into the history books.
An emotional welcome at Sydney Airport this morning.
James Kostrishin and Justin Jones are home at last.
3 months when we were on the ice, this is what we were picturing, just walking through the airport terminal and seeing everyone
and feeling
there.
the warmth and being able to feel your fingers and toes.
The young adventurers spent 89 days in Antarctica, trekking more than 2,000 kilometres in the world's most unforgiving terrain. They battled sleep deprivation, dehydration, hallucinations and minus 25-degree temperatures.
I hope it's his last one that he's going to do.
Don't ever do that again.
They've returned home record holders, the first pair to travel from the edge of Antarctica to the South Pole and back unassisted. Between them, they lost 55 kilos.
I really want an Aussie meat pie. I really, really do. It's just something quintessentially Australian, tomato sauce.
Their journey has raised $50,000 for UCAN, a charity that helps young people with cancer. For James, his next big walk will be down the aisle when he marries his fiancée Mia in 3 weeks. But he might need to visit a hairdresser before then.
Sure about this hairdo. What's this?
Claire Robinson, 7 News.
Still to come in 7 News, Syria spirals out of control with children caught up in a government crackdown. Plus, airport security to get even tighter with passengers forced to walk through full-body scanners. And Europe's deadly freeze hits London. Police are looking for 3 offenders who drove a car through the Meadow Springs shopping centre near Mandurah. They used the vehicle to smash through the glass doors of the main mall at around 3 o'clock this morning. The offenders then assaulted a bakery worker and took money from the safe. They also forced their way into a news agency and fish and chip shop before driving off. Full body scanners will be installed at all international airports across Australia in a bid to improve anti-terrorism measures. Legislation will be introduced into federal parliament after a trial in Melbourne and Sydney airports. The government says privacy will not be an issue. The scanner will only generate a general body outline and no images will be stored.
It simply will identify the spot on the body, on the outline, where there's something that needs to be checked.
The new technology will be rolled out from July. The US says it's disgusted with Russia and China after the 2 countries blocked United Nations efforts to end deadly violence in Syria. Worldwide anger over the worsening situation spread to Canberra last night, where a group of men trashed the Syrian embassy.
Video posted online purportedly shows children injured in what some say is the deadliest crackdown in Syria's 11-month rebellion. Foreign media is restricted, so it's difficult to verify pictures. The Syrian government denies the attack, but activists say mortar shells rained down on the city of Homs, killing 200 people and injuring more than 1,300.
Last night, we tried to get medication and doctors to the area. Snipers started shooting at us.
US President Barack Obama urged the United Nations to act to stop the Syrian killing machine, but Russia and China blocked a UN resolution condemning the violence and calling for Syria's President Bashar Assad to go.
The United States is disgusted that a couple members of this council continue to prevent us from fulfilling our sole purpose here.
No country in the UN is actually operating in the way the UN was designed.
Around the world, activists targeted Syrian embassies. In Canberra, a group of men broke in and trashed the ground floor. Back in Syria, mourners gathered at funerals to bury the dead. As night fell, anti-government protesters reclaimed the streets, a sign their resolve has not been broken. Angela Cox, 7 News.
Europe's deep freeze has moved across Britain, with London blanketed by heavy snow. City officials have promised to keep the capital moving after snowstorms last year triggered transport chaos. More than 1,200 flights have already been cancelled at Heathrow Airport.
If we get delays caused by bad weather, the delays build up very, very quickly.
It's estimated 260 lives have now been lost in Europe's vicious cold snap. Prince William has started flying patrols over the Falkland Islands off South America as part of his controversial 6 weeks tour of duty. New pictures show the young royal checking over sea in a Sea King helicopter before strapping in with his crew and taking off. His deployment as a search and rescue pilot has added to tensions between Britain and Argentina 2 months before the 30th anniversary of their war over the islands. It's time for sport now with Adrian Barrett and Barra. Bad luck for Brett Lee.
Yes, Sal, another injury for the veteran. That's next as the Hussey brothers take to India. David and Michael hit out in a rain-shortened match.
Hey, that's making the most of the extra one.
And a 7 News exclusive, Holden's new look for the V8 Championship. Yeah, looks great. That's Sunday Sport. Have a great night. Here's Sally.
Thanks, Farah. The weather's next. Then it's Sunday night with Chris Barth.
Thanks, Sally. Tonight, the secrets of Downton Abbey revealed and a sneak peek of season 2. And under the blowtorch, Julia Gillard with Mike Willisey. That's next after 7 News.
We've got clear skies ahead this week with temperatures starting to warm up again. Right now in the city it's 24.9 degrees and the wind is south-southwest at 9 kilometres an hour. On the chart at the moment, we've got a high pressure ridge just building to the south of the state with isolated showers and drizzle near the south coast, just to the east of Albany into this evening. And it looks like we'll see some isolated showers and storms fire up tonight in the Kimberley, northern interior and also inland Pilbara. Tomorrow across WA, a surface trough will develop near the west coast and we'll see some isolated showers and drizzle just around the south coast, just to the east of Albany once again, with some more showers and storms in the northern Kimberley, western inland Pilbara and northwest Kimberley. Around the rest of the country tomorrow, we're expecting some showers in Sydney, a top of 27 degrees. Clear skies in the nation's capital, also 27 there. Some storms firing up in Hobart, 19 the top, and a top of 22 degrees with a few showers expected in Adelaide. On the water tomorrow, east-southeasterly winds around 15 to 20 knots. The winds will then swing more southeast, 10 to 15 knots, with seas around 2 metres on a 2.5 metre swell. Tomorrow's forecast is for a sunny start to the working week with moderate to fresh east-northeasterly winds, a top of 31 degrees on the way. Then looking further ahead, Tuesday sunny and 35. Wednesday mostly sunny and a top of 37 degrees. Thursday partly cloudy and 36, dropping down to 34 degrees on Friday. And then a bit of cloud and humid skies into Saturday. Sunday partly cloudy and 29. And that's 7 News this Sunday. Thanks for your company. Now here's Chris Barth with Sunday Night.
Nobody knows